Hello and welcome to the $1 Million Message. This is your Fearless Friday the 13th message with Callie the Blender Brigham calling from beautiful Pensacola Beach, Florida. It's really a fun few days. We've got Friday the 13th, lucky Friday the 13th today, Valentine's tomorrow, Mardi Gras, especially if you're in the South here. I don't know if you knew this, but some cities, Mobile and parts of Louisiana, they don't have school all next week for Mardi Gras. I know, pretty cool, right? So there are 3 parades here this weekend where I live, and it's just a fun time. It is a fun season. Well, but today is Friday the 13th, and traditionally, when this happens, I do a message about being lucky. And you know how some things just stick with you? And I'll never forget my adopted sales director, who is now Senior National Sales Director Emeritus, Joanne Berglund. She would say, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I remember just seeing what felt like luck for people, the new team members that they would get, the person that they would meet when they were out and about. And I was just like, oh, they're so lucky. But I was always reminded by Joanne's words that they had probably really worked hard. And then things just played out. So I want to remind you of a couple stories that just really send this home for me. And the first one is when psychologist Richard Wiseman gave a group of people a newspaper, excuse me, and he asked them to count how many photos were in the newspaper. So there was one group that was self-proclaimed unlucky and one group that was self-proclaimed lucky, which, by the way, which one would you put yourself in? So what he found is that unlucky people focused hard. They counted every photo, taking minutes and minutes and minutes to try to find the photos. And at the end, even with their diligence, they were often incorrect. The lucky people saw a huge message on page 2 that said, stop counting. There are 43 photos in this paper. So they finished in seconds. What's the difference? Lucky people are more open. They notice more. Unlucky people tend to be anxious or rushed, and they miss what's right in front of them. So the ones who feel lucky in this business, many times they're just maybe more present, open, and expectant. They're not overthinking things. They're more observing and engaging and open to what or who might pop up today. Speaking of which, there's another story in a behavioral study, and I remember just watching this on like a news magazine show years ago. They divided, again, people into 2 groups, lucky and unlucky, and they observed them in a coffee shop. And what they did was they just watched what happened in the coffee shop. And it was fascinating. We saw this all on the video. And the unlucky people would come in, they'd order their coffee, they'd sit down, and that was about it. The lucky people would come in, they'd order their coffee. By the time they left, someone had given them free concert tickets, they had a new novel to read, they had 5 new friends. The barista gave them an extra treat or a specialty coffee. I mean, they were just having the time of their life. Well, why? Well, the unlucky people would go in, not make eye contact, go sit in the corner with their back to everybody and not engage. And the lucky people traditionally would go in, they'd be smiling, they would ask people about their day, they would engage in conversation, they'd make eye contact, they were just sitting in the middle, ready for something good to happen. So again, what's the difference? Do people like lucky people more, or do lucky people make themselves more likable? And then the last one was they observed them on a hidden camera walking down the street where they had planted a $20 bill. And the lucky people spotted it right away, and they reached down and grabbed it and looked around to make sure nobody had dropped it and stuck it in their pocket. and the unlucky people never even saw it. So again, what's the difference? Openness, awareness, confidence. People who believe they are lucky act like it. It's just a choice. I mean, there is not really such a thing as luck and lucky people and unlucky people. They just show up, they speak up, they look up. I remember one time going to a fundraiser called Save Water, Drink Wine, and it was a fundraiser for water wells in certain parts of the country or world. And there was a raffle at the beginning, and I said to the gal, I'd thrown in, I don't know, a $20 bill in my purse, and I jokingly said, remember my name for the raffle because I always win. And she said, you always win? I said, no, but it's way more fun to say you always win than you never win. And then you're so surprised when you don't win. And you're not surprised at all when you do. I said, remember my name. Well, the next day I got a phone call and they said, hi, I remember your name and we just did the drawing and you won. And I said, oh, great. What did I win? Because there was a bunch of different things. She said, no, you won everything. I won hotel stays. I won about $1,000 in Aveda hair products. I won restaurant gift certificates. It was crazy. Okay, do I always win? No. But isn't it more fun to say that you always win? Okay, so today is Friday the 13th. How are you going to be lucky? Or how about this? How are you going to work so that luck finds you? Well, you can have fun with this. You can decide whatever you want to do. So maybe you sell 13 of something today. Maybe it's a favorite product, and you offer, something, a freebie for when they participate in this. Maybe you have a 13% discount. Maybe you message 13, maybe past customers, people that you've missed. Maybe you have a goal to get 13 new leads. Maybe you have 13 booking attempts that you're going to make. So just pick the number 13 and decide what you're going to do with it. And make it fun and have the expectation that luck isn't something that is elusive. Luck is something that you choose. So you get to decide today. Don't be scared. Don't be superstitious about Friday the 13th. Today could be someone else's day that they get lucky because you offered something to them. So be bold today. Be open today because when you show up, you're going to grow up. And the harder you work, the luckier you get. So I can't wait to hear the stories of how lucky you get today because you put yourself out there, because you choose to say things like, this is going to go my way today. My luck has turned around today. Last thing I'll say is luck isn't chance, and that's what we tend to think it is. It's a combination of being prepared, believing good things are going to happen, taking action even when it feels small, and really, believe it or not, it's about choosing faith and not fear. And what Dr. Wiseman found that lucky people do is they try new things, they expect it to work, they bounce back quickly, and they trust their gut. Okay, so I trust that you're going to have a great, lucky Friday the 13th today. Okay, work hard and get lucky. Bye, everybody.